Hi there, it's Nicole for Simon Says Stamp, and today I have a floral thank you card showcasing the Simon Says Stamp and Clearly Besotted Layered Chrysanthemums stamp set. And this is for their STAMPtember event, so it's a collaboration stamp set. It's limited edition and only available for a limited time. And it is gorgeous. I love layered stamps. They're so much fun to create with. I am using my Misty because that's going to really just make lining up these florals, all the layered parts, so much easier. Plus, I've marked there with my pencil. I want to leave a little bit of a space. One of my favorite things to do is to create borders of layered florals and then put a die cut or paper strip over it with the greeting, which is what I'm going to do here today. The colors of ink I am using for these layered pieces are going to all be shown across the top of the screen. As I am stamping, I am using 3 different color combinations for the mums and then another color combination of 3 inks for the leaves. And I'm mixing and matching. While the 3 ink colors for the yellow chrysanthemum are all Lawn Fawn, they might not all necessarily be. I am using quite a few Lawn Fawn inks. I found that those colors just kind of were what I was gravitating towards for this card. But this is going to be a card that requires lots of masking. So I've got my flower stamped here. I cut it out of my masking material. And then I'm going to stamp my leaves. Now I accidentally stamped the second step first, which is okay. I went ahead and inked it back up with the middle ink. And then I'm going to stamp that first image, that background solid image, and then I'll finish with the top image. So if you mess up, don't worry about it. Just keep working. You can always kind of add over it later as long as you aren't using the wrong ink color. And it doesn't have to be perfect. One of the great things, these are flowers. They're in nature. They're not always perfect. So I tend to not worry about those things too much. For my orange chrysanthemum, this is going to be Lawn Fawn carrot, fake tan, and pumpkin spice. I think if you wanted even deeper detail, and maybe if I did this exact card again, I would have maybe used a red for that last image just to darken up the shadows a little bit. Although you can see all 3 ink colors once that ink is really good and dry. This is also a a card design rather, that if you wanted to create multiples of this card design, you could easily do so. You have several panels ready. You would just need to switch them out as you stamp each of these steps. It is a little time consuming just because you're switching out those images, but really the Misty makes it so easy, and I think this would be an incredible stamp set to create a gift card set with. In fact, if I have time a little bit later this month, I think I'm going to try to do something like that, and I will definitely share it here if I get that done. I love the 3 colors for the pink mum. This was one of those mix and match ones where I did Hero Arts Bubblegum and then Simon Says Stamp Doll Pink and Hot Mama inks. So that one definitely mixes and matches the inks. I have ink swatches, and all I did was grab my ink swatches that I've made and go through them and kind of lay out the different swatches next to each other to see if I liked the colors. And then I simply grabbed all those colors from my ink collection and started stamping. Ink swatches save tons and tons of time, at least for me. They've been a real lifesaver. So here, I'm just continuing to layer, continuing to move my masks down along this border where I've got my little pencil lines drawn. I didn't even draw the pencil lines on my background paper. One thing with masking, and you're not going to see it yet because the masking paper isn't too terrible saturated yet, but when I do the bottom border, my ink bled through the masking paper a little bit, and like I said, I did not worry about it. They're flowers, they're in nature. It wasn't too glaring bad. I had already done all this stamping and I really didn't want to redo it. But you may want to consider changing out your masks from time to time, or create a mask from some acetate so that your ink doesn't bleed through it. Just after so many stamped images over it, they do get really saturated and the ink can bleed through that mask. I'm going to finish this top border, and that's pretty much all I'm going to share as far as stamping. I use the same color combinations over and over and over again to do the bottom border along the bottom half of the card. Just finish up stamping this orange mum real quick. The Misty, again, makes it so easy to line it up perfectly. I'm using the Hero Art scrubber pad to clean them real quick. Now I've got both borders stamped. I'm going to take one of the greetings from the Layered Chrysanthemums stamp set. This is Thanks a Million. There's also Love You and Birthday Wishes. All great greetings to work with this floral stamp set. And then I'm using the Pretty Pink Posh scallop borders to create decorative borders, stitched borders, and a scallop along this white cardstock strip. So you can make it any width you needed to accommodate your greeting. I love that. And I love creating these kind of strips. So again, I'm going to hold this down with my magnets in my Misty, and I'm going to use the Misty to perfectly line up and stamp my greeting there. I'm going to stamp the greeting with the Lawn Fawn Black Licorice ink. I really love this ink for a nice bold black stamped greeting. I think it also would be pretty stamped and embossed with maybe gold embossing powder to make it maybe a bit more elegant. I'm going to back the back of my strip with some foam adhesive just for a tiny bit of dimension, and then attach that right in between these two borders of florals. And that's really going to give it a nice finished look. Separate those two borders really nicely. I'm going to attach my panel now to a side fold card base. If you felt really confident, you could probably stamp those two floral borders right on your card base and just kind of forego this whole step and just add that decorative greeting strip if you wanted to. I'm going to round all four corners with a 1/2 inch corner rounder. Soften the look of the card just a tiny bit, and then I'm going to finish with a scattering of Pretty Pink Posh sparkling clear sequins. These are my favorite. I love the clear ones. I'm using both the 4mm and 6mm size. Using the Zotz Bling glue dots to attach these to my card. And I want to just do a nice scattering. A lot of times I kind of scatter mine in a diagonal like you see here. In groups of 3, there are some groups of 2, but I tend to like to do groups of 3, an odd number of groupings. Then I'm going to finish with some Hero Arts small pearls in the middle of the large 6mm sequins, and then I'll scatter a few additional pearl gems throughout the card design as well. And that is going to finish up this Thank You Layered Chrysanthemums floral card. Thanks for joining me today for this card showcasing the Simon Says Stamp and Clearly Besotted Layered Chrysanthemums stamp set. The supplies I've used to create this card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more cards showcasing florals that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.